The Galactic Council chamber floated in the darkness of space like a jewel. Its walls were made of transparent metal that showed the stars beyond. Inside, representatives from 12 ancient species sat in their designated seats. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They considered themselves wise. They considered themselves fair. Ambassador Sarah Chun stood at the speaker's platform. She was tired. Her uniform showed signs of wear. Dark circles hung under her eyes. She had not slept properly in 3 days. None of the human delegation had. "We lost 4,000 souls," she said. Her voice was steady but quiet. 4,000 men, women, and children who diverted their colony ships into the path of the solar flare. They knew they would not survive. They did it anyway because 8 million Velcran citizens needed time to evacuate. The chamber was silent. Some representatives looked down. Others stared ahead with unreadable expressions. The Velcran ambassador, a tall being with crystalline skin, sat perfectly still. He did not speak. He did not thank the humans. To show gratitude would imply weakness in Velcran culture, Chun continued. We have served on this council for 87 years. We have contributed to every major initiative. We have sent our people to die in wars that were not ours. We have given aid to species who needed it. We have asked for very little in return. She paused. Today we ask again for a seat on the ruling committee. We believe humanity has earned the right to help guide council policy. Council Chairman Vorik, a massive being covered in thick scales, raised one clawed hand. The matter will be put to a vote, he said. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. The voting began. One by one, the 12 ruling species cast their votes. Sarah Chun watched the display. She already knew how it would end. She had known for weeks. The intelligence reports had been clear. The backroom deals had been made. Humanity would be denied again. Red lights appeared on the display. 10 votes against. 2 abstentions. 0 votes in favor. The motion fails, Vorik announced. Humanity will not receive a ruling committee seat at this time. A Keshet representative named Thuros stood. His species looked like large birds with 4 arms. His feathers were silver with age. If I may address the human delegation, he said. Sarah Chun nodded stiffly. Humanity has indeed contributed much to the council, Thuros said. His tone was pleasant, almost friendly. But contributions alone do not qualify a species for leadership. Humans are young. Your species is emotional. You act on impulse. You make decisions based on feelings rather than logic. He spread his 4 arms in a gesture that might have been apologetic. You must understand our position. Children do not earn seats at the adult table simply for doing chores around the house. They must first grow up. They must learn wisdom. Perhaps in another century or 2, humanity will be ready. The words hung in the air like poison gas. Sarah Chun stood very still. Her jaw tightened. Behind her, the other human diplomat sat frozen. Lieutenant Commander, Park's hands gripped the armrests of his chair so hard his knuckles turned white. Dr. Okonkwo closed her eyes and took a slow breath. I see, Chun said finally. Her voice had changed. Something in it had gone cold and flat. Thank you for clarifying the council's position, Representative Thuros. We understand perfectly now. She gathered her papers with careful, precise movements. The human delegation requests a recess. We need time to consider our next steps. Of course, Vorik said. We will reconvene in 3 days to discuss the Drayan-Keshet border dispute. The human delegation filed out of the chamber. They walked in silence through the wide corridors of the station. Other species moved past them. None made eye contact. Word of the vote had already spread. Back in the human quarters, Sarah Shen stood at the window and looked out at the stars. Her team gathered around her. Ambassador? Park asked quietly. Chun did not turn around. Send a message to Earth, Code Black 7. Tell them it is time. Dr. Okonkwo's eyes widened. Are you certain? There's no coming back from this. They called us children, Chun said. Her reflection in the window showed no expression. They take our blood and our sacrifice and our work, and they call us children. She finally turned to face her team. We are done asking for respect. Send the message. Within 6 hours, the message reached Earth. Within 12 hours, it had been transmitted to every human colony, every human ship, every human installation in Council space. The message was simple and clear. The withdrawal began immediately. Human diplomats packed their belongings. They deleted files from their computers. They locked down their offices. They did not say goodbye. They did not announce their intentions. They simply left. Human engineers abandoned their posts at the great shipyards of Kentaurus. The construction bays went silent. The massive vessels being built for the Council fleet sat, half-finished in their frames. Human doctors at the medical station on Praxis 4 finished treating their current patients. Then they sterilized their equipment, locked the doors, and departed. The Velcran staff arrived the next morning to find the facility empty and dark. Human security forces at the Draen-Keshet border began pulling back. They notified their replacements that they would be taking over full responsibility in 48 hours. Then they packed up their weapons, their supplies, their people, and left. On the Council station itself, the human quarter grew quieter each day. Shops closed. Families moved out. The schools emptied. By the end of the first week, only a skeleton crew remained to manage the final logistics. Other species watched with confusion, then concern, then alarm. What are the humans doing? Demanded the Draen ambassador. They cannot simply abandon their posts. We have treaties. We have agreements. Vorik sent a message to the departing human delegation. Sarah Chung responded with a single line. All treaties with the Galactic Council are hereby dissolved. Humanity thanks the Council for its hospitality and wishes all member species well. What does this mean? Vorik asked his advisors. Are they declaring war? No, Chairman, his chief of staff replied. They are not declaring anything. They are simply ... Thuros stood before the Council 3 weeks after the vote. The Draen-Keshet border dispute had exploded into violence. With human peacekeepers gone, old hatreds had reignited. Ships were burning. Colonies were being evacuated. This is clearly a negotiating tactic, Thuros said confidently. The humans are throwing a tantrum. When they calm down, they will realize they need the Council more than we need them. We should not reward this childish behavior by appearing concerned, but our projections a euro, began a junior analyst. Are overstated, Thuros interrupted. Yes, humans contributed significantly to certain operations, but they were not irreplaceable. Other species will fill the gaps. We will adapt. The Council has existed for millennia before humanity joined. We will continue just fine without them. The last human ship departed Council space exactly 30 days after the vote. It was a small transport carrying the final dozen diplomats. Sarah Chun stood on the bridge and watched the Council station shrink in the view screen. Any final messages, Ambassador? The captain asked. Chun shook her head. No, we have said everything we needed to say. Or rather, they said everything they needed to say. She turned away from the view screen. Take us home, Captain. We are done here. Behind them, the Galactic Council continued its session. They debated. They voted. They made proclamations. But for the first time in 87 years, no human voice spoke in those chambers. The silence had begun. 3 months had passed since the last human ship left Council space. The Galactic Council held a celebration. They called it the Unity Festival. They said it marked a new era of cooperation among the founding species. Representative Thuros gave a speech. The departure of humanity, while unfortunate, has allowed us to refocus on core Council values. We have proven that we do not need immature species to maintain galactic order. The humans will return when they realize their mistake. Until then, we are stronger without their emotional interference. The assembled representatives applauded, some more enthusiastically than others, but in the corridors outside the celebration, the mood was different. Junior staff members whispered to each other. They shared reports. They compared numbers. The numbers were not good. The Drayan-Keshet border war had spread to 3 systems. 30,000 beings were dead. Refugee ships crowded the lanes. The Council peacekeeping force, now composed entirely of non-human species, struggled to contain the violence. They had numbers but lacked coordination. Every species had different protocols, different chain of command, different rules of engagement. When humans ran peacekeeping operations, everything had flowed smoothly. Now it was chaos. Trade routes throughout the Outer Rim had become dangerous. Pirate clans grew bold. Before, human patrol ships had kept the lanes safe. They had moved constantly, unpredictably, making piracy too risky. Now those ships were gone. The pirates knew it. They struck merchant vessels with increasing frequency. The Council assigned Velcran security forces to patrol duty. But the Velcran were expensive. They charged premium rates for their services. And they only protected ships that paid for escort. The smaller traders, the independent haulers. The colony supply runs €1. They were on their own. Insurance rates tripled. Then tripled again. Some routes were declared too dangerous to travel on Velk Prime. The homeworld of the Velcran species, disaster struck in the 4th month. A virus emerged from the deep jungle regions. It spread quickly through the crystalline Velcran population. Their medical facilities had no treatment. The virus was new, unknown, deadly. Velcran scientists worked desperately to create a cure. But their medical technology was limited. They were warriors and builders. Medicine was not their strength. Before, they would have called the humans. Human medical technology was the best in the known galaxy. Human doctors had ended plagues on 12 worlds. Human research stations developed cures for diseases that other species considered death sentences. The Velcran government sent a message to human space. It was marked urgent. Priority 1. A matter of life and death. The message disappeared into silence. No response came back. They sent another message. Then another. All went unanswered. 3 million Velcran died in the first wave of the plague. 5 million in the second wave. The crystalline bodies piled high in mass graves. The proud warrior species that had abstained from thanking humanity now begged for human aid. The silence from human space remained absolute. The Kryn collective faced a different kind of death. Their economy collapsed. The Kryn were traders and merchants. They had built their wealth on complex trade networks that spanned the galaxy. Human colonies had been their biggest customers. Human worlds bought Kryn goods by the shipload. Human currency had propped up the Kryn financial system. Now that trade was gone. Human colonies still existed. Long-range scans showed cities glowing on human worlds, ships moving between human systems. But every human port was closed to non-human vessels. Every human market was shuttered to outside trade. The Kryn tried to replace human customers with other species, but no one else bought in the same quantities. No one else paid as reliably. The Kryn stock exchange crashed. Banks failed. Unemployment spread like disease. Kryn representatives came to the council with desperate pleas for economic assistance. The council debated. They formed committees. They wrote reports, but they provided no real help. Without human contributions to the council treasury, there was less money to distribute. In the 6th week, Thuros led a delegation to human space. 7 ships carrying representatives from 5 species. They approached the border with confidence. This would be a negotiation. Humanity would make demands. The council would make counteroffers. They would reach an agreement. This was how things worked. The delegation crossed into human space and immediately tried to make contact. They broadcast on all frequencies. They used the old diplomatic codes. They sent messages to Earth, Mars, Alpha Centauri, and 12 other major human worlds. Nothing came back. Not even automated responses. The ships traveled deeper into human territory. They passed human vessels, cargo ships, personal transports, small military patrol craft. None responded to hails. The human ships simply continued on their routes as if the council vessels did not exist. "This is absurd," Thuros said. "They can clearly see us." They are deliberately ignoring us. The delegation reached Earth orbit. The blue and green world turned peacefully below them. Satellites filled near-Earth space. Orbital stations hung like jewels. Everything looked normal. Everything looked inhabited. Everything looked busy. Thuros personally recorded a message. This is Representative Thuros of the Galactic Council. We come in peace to open negotiations regarding humanity's return to Council membership. We are willing to discuss terms. Please respond. The message was transmitted on every channel. Tight beam to the surface. Broadcast to the stations. Directed at passing ships. Hours passed. Then days, not a single response came. It was as if the delegation did not exist. As if they were ghosts that humans could not see or hear. On the third day, a single automated buoy approached the council ships. It transmitted one message on repeat. The message was in perfect council standard language. You have entered human territorial space. You are not welcome here. Your presence is noted but will not be acknowledged. Depart immediately. This is your only warning. Only warning? Thuros sputtered. We are a diplomatic delegation. The buoy continued its message. It did not engage. It did not argue. It simply repeated the same words over and over. Thuros ordered the delegation to remain. They would wait. Surely the humans would break eventually. Surely someone would talk to them. On the fifth day, human military vessels appeared. They said nothing. They simply formed a loose perimeter around the council ships. Their weapons remained powered down. Their shields stayed inactive. But their presence was clear. Their message was obvious. Leave. Now. The delegation departed. They returned to council space in shame and confusion. What did they say? Vorik asked when Thuros returned. Nothing, Thuros replied. His feathers were ruffled. His pride was wounded. They said absolutely nothing? They treated us like we were invisible, like we did not matter enough to even insult. Then we will wait, Vorik decided. Humanity will need something eventually. They will need to trade. They will need resources from outside their space. When that moment comes, we will have leverage. But the moment never came. Months passed. Human space remained sealed. Human ships did not leave their territory. Human colonies did not request imports. Somehow, humanity had made itself completely self-sufficient, or perhaps they had always been self-sufficient. Perhaps they had only traded with council species out of politeness, out of a desire to be part of the galactic community. That desire was clearly dead now. A young Velcrin named Silix worked as a data analyst at council headquarters. She had always been curious, always asked questions. In the empty human quarter of the station, she found something interesting. The humans had deleted most of their files before leaving. But they had not deleted everything. In a forgotten server room, Silix found backup logs, maintenance records, operational reports, thousands of documents that detailed exactly what humans had been doing for 87 years. She started reading. And she could not stop. The numbers were staggering. Humans made up 11% of council population, but they had performed 64% of all humanitarian missions, 71% of all rescue operations. They had contributed 43% of the council defense fleet. They had built 58% of the infrastructure in neutral zones, and they had done it all while being paid less than other species, while being given the most dangerous assignments, while being told they were not ready for leadership. Silix sat in the dark server room and felt sick. Her people were dying of a plague that humans could have cured. And the council had called those same humans children. She copied everything. She encrypted the files. She did not know yet what she would do with this information. But she knew it was important. She knew someone needed to see it. Outside her window, a council military ship departed on patrol. Its crew was undertrained. Its supplies were limited. It was supposed to protect 5 systems that had previously been guarded by 20 human vessels. The galaxy was breaking. Piece by piece, System by system. And in their self-imposed isolation, humanity watched silently from behind their closed borders. 18 months after humanity withdrew, the galaxy was dying. Not all at once, not dramatically. It was dying like a body dies when the heart stops, slowly, cell by cell. System by system, Silix had spent those 18 months studying the human records. She had cross-referenced them with current council operations. She had built models, run simulations. Every analysis pointed to the same conclusion. The galaxy needed humanity far more than anyone had realized. She presented her findings to her supervisor. He told her to delete the report. "This makes the council look bad," he said. "It makes us look incompetent. The council leadership does not want to hear this." Silix did not delete the report. Instead, she encrypted it and began sharing it through secure channels. With other junior analysts, with young officers in the fleet, with anyone who would listen, the report spread like the Velcrin plague had spread. Quietly at first, then faster. Then it could not be stopped. Meanwhile, at the edge of council space, something ancient woke up. The Draven Scourge had been dormant for 200 years. They were not a species. They were a collective, a hive mind that consumed organic matter and converted it into more of itself. They had been pushed back to the edge of the galaxy in a war that had cost millions of lives. That war had been won largely by human tactics and human sacrifice. But that was before. Now the humans were gone, the Scourge sent out scout ships. They probed the borders. They tested defenses. What they found encouraged them. The patrols were thin. The response times were slow. The coordination between council species was poor. The Scourge attacked. 3 border colonies disappeared in the first week. The populations were consumed. The worlds were left barren. By the time council forces arrived, there was nothing left to save. Chairman Vorik called an emergency session. All 12 ruling species gathered. Their faces showed fear now instead of pride. "We need to mobilize the full council fleet," Vorik said. "The Scourge cannot be allowed to advance further." "The fleet is not ready," admitted the Drayan military commander. "We have ships, but our logistics are a disaster. We lack the coordination software that humans developed. Our supply chains are inefficient. And morale is low. The crews know they are not properly prepared." "Then we will fight with what we have," Thuros declared. "We defeated the Scourge before. We will defeat them again." "Before, we had human fleet commanders," a young Kashet officer said quietly. "Human tactical systems. Human support vessels. We had humans." Thuros glared at her. "Are you suggesting we cannot win without humanity?" "That is defeatist thinking. We are the elder species. We have fought wars for millennia." "Yes," the young officer replied. "And we have been losing them for the past 18 months. Every conflict. Every engagement. Our win rate has dropped 73% since humanity withdrew." The room fell silent. The council assembled their fleet. It was impressive to look at. 5,000 vessels from 9 species. They gathered at Rally Point Sigma and prepared to face the Scourge. It should have been enough. On paper, it was more than enough. But paper does not account for reality. The fleet jumped to the threatened sector. The Scourge was waiting. Their ships were organic, living. They moved like schools of fish, like flocks of birds. They did not follow predictable patterns. The council fleet attacked in formation. But each species had different ideas about formation. The Drayan preferred aggressive frontal assault. The Kashet liked flanking maneuvers. The Velcrin fought defensively. Without human coordinators to blend these different styles, the fleet became a confused mess. The Scourge tore through them like paper. Council ships collided with each other. Friendly fire incidents multiplied. Communication systems became overloaded with contradictory orders. Commanders screamed at each other in different languages. In 6 hours, the council fleet lost 1,200 ships. The Scourge lost maybe 100. The survivors retreated in disorder. It was not a defeat. It was a catastrophe. 3 more colonies fell to the Scourge in the following week. Then 7 more. Then 12. Refugees flooded toward the interior. Millions of beings fled their homes carrying whatever they could hold. They crowded onto transport ships. They overwhelmed processing stations. The refugee crisis broke the back of council logistics. There was not enough food, not enough medicine, not enough housing. Camps formed on every available world. Disease spread through the camps. Children died. The elderly died. The sick died before human relief organizations would have arrived. Human cargo ships would have brought supplies. Human doctors would have set up field hospitals. Human engineers would have built temporary shelters. Now there was no help coming. The Council's own relief efforts were slow and insufficient. They tried their best, but their best was not good enough. Species began to withdraw from the Council. Not formally, not with announcements. They simply stopped following Council directives. They pulled their forces back to protect their own borders. They hoarded resources for their own people. The galaxy was fragmenting. Thu Ross watched it happen from his office at Council headquarters. Reports piled up on his desk. Casualty figures. Refugee counts. Economic projections. All of them were bad. All of them were getting worse. He had received death threats. His own people, the Keshe, were calling for his resignation. Protesters gathered outside his family's home. They blamed him for the crisis. They blamed him for the speech he had made 18 months ago. Children do not earn seats at the adult table simply for doing chores. Those words had been played over and over in news broadcasts. Young activists had made it into a slogan, a symbol of council arrogance, of council stupidity. Thuros had tried to explain. He had tried to contextualize. He had tried to defend his reasoning. But no one wanted to hear it. The galaxy was burning and someone had to be blamed. He was convenient. In his darker moments, alone in his office, Thuros wondered if they were right. He looked at the reports. He saw what the galaxy had lost when humanity left. And he asked himself a question he had never expected to ask. Had he been wrong? He decided to find out. Against the advice of his staff, against the direct orders of Chairman Vorik, Thuros took a small personal ship to the edge of human space. He went alone. No delegation. No guards. Just himself. He approached the human border and transmitted a simple message. This is Thuros. I was the one who spoke against humanity in the Council. I want to talk. Not negotiate. Not demand. Just talk, please. For 3 days he waited at the border. He expected silence. He expected to be ignored like the last delegation had been ignored. On the 4th day, a single automated buoy approached his ship. It transmitted a message. Thuros recognized the voice. It was Ambassador Sarah Chun, but the message was pre-recorded, old. It had been made months ago, and left here for anyone who came looking. We heard you, Chun's voice said. We heard every word you said. You called us children. You said we were too emotional, too immature, too unstable for responsibility. You said we had to grow up. So we did. We grew up and realized that children should not bear adult responsibilities. Children should not die in your wars. Children should not cure your plagues. Children should not hold your failing galaxy together while you insult them. You wanted adults? You are the adults. Live with your choices. The message ended. The buoy departed. Thuros sat alone in his ship and stared at the stars. He had come looking for hope, for some sign that humanity might help. Instead, he found only the consequences of his own words, turned back on him. On all of them, he returned to council space a changed being. He called a press conference. The media expected excuses, denials, blame, shifting. Instead, Thuros stood at the podium and spoke with complete honesty. I was wrong, he said. I do not ask for forgiveness. I do not deserve it. I ask only that the truth be known. Humanity was never the problem. We were. We took their contributions for granted. We ignored their sacrifices. We demeaned them while they held us together. And when they finally left, we learned what we had lost. Not servants, Not subordinates, partners, friends, and we threw them away because of our own arrogance. Mine most of all. He resigned that day. 6 other council members resigned in the following week. The old leadership was collapsing. The young were demanding change. But change was coming too late to stop the bleeding. The scourge advanced. The refugees multiplied. The galaxy fell apart and humanity remained silent behind their borders, watching, waiting, judging whether the council that had called them children could finally learn to stand on its own. 2 years had passed since humanity withdrew. The galaxy barely recognized itself anymore. The Draven Scourge had conquered 17 systems. They were not slowing down. Every battle the Council fought seemed to make things worse. Their fleets were exhausted. Their soldiers were demoralized. Their supply lines were broken. The Scourge grew stronger with each victory. Each world they consumed gave them more biomass, more resources, more ships. Council headquarters itself was overflowing with refugees. The station had been built to house 50,000 beings. Now nearly 300,000 crowded its corridors. They slept in hallways, in storage rooms, in places that were never meant for habitation. Food was rationed. Water was recycled again and again. Disease spread through the makeshift camps. The new council leadership tried their best. After Thuros and the others resigned, younger representatives had taken over. They were less arrogant than their predecessors, more willing to admit mistakes. But humility did not solve practical problems. It did not produce food. It did not stop the scourge. It did not bring back the dead. Chairman Vorik had also resigned. The new chairman was a Drayan named Kesik. She was half Vorik's age and twice as tired. She worked 18-hour days trying to coordinate the galaxy's defense. It was like trying to build a house during an earthquake. "We cannot continue like this," she told her advisors during a private meeting. "We are losing. Slowly but surely, we are losing. In 6 months, maybe a year, the Scourge will reach the core worlds. Once they do, there will be no stopping them. What do you propose?" her military advisor asked. He was a Keshet officer named Varix, young, competent, realistic about their chances. "I propose we do what we should have done 2 years ago," Kesik said. "We beg humanity for help." The room fell silent. Several advisors looked uncomfortable. One older representative actually stood up to leave. "Sit down," Kesik ordered. "I know it wounds your pride." "It wounds mine too. But pride is a luxury we can no longer afford. We need human help. We need it desperately. And we have nothing to offer them in return except our apology and our genuine regret." "They will refuse," the older representative said. "They have ignored every attempt at contact. Why would they listen now?" "They might not," Kesik admitted. "But we have to try. Not for our sake. For the billions of beings who will die if we fail." The message was composed carefully. It took 3 days to write. Every word was debated. Every phrase was examined. They recorded it as a video. Kesik herself spoke, looking directly into the camera. "This message is for humanity," she began. "I am Chairman Kesik of the Galactic Council. I speak for the Council, but more importantly, I speak for the billions of beings who are suffering across the galaxy. We were wrong. Not just in how we treated humanity, but in how we viewed ourselves. We thought we were wise elders. We were arrogant fools. We took your contributions for granted. We insulted you while you held our civilization together. When you left, we blamed you for being emotional, for being childish. We did not understand that you were simply refusing to be disrespected any longer. You were right. We were wrong. We do not ask you to return to the Council. We do not ask you to forgive us. We only ask that you consider helping those who are dying. Not for our sake. For theirs. The refugees. The colonists. The civilians who had no say in how you were treated. If you choose to help, we will accept whatever terms you set. If you choose not to help, we will understand. The choice is yours. It always should have been. The message was transmitted to human space. Then the council waited. Days passed. Then weeks. No response came. The silence continued. "We tried," Keswick said to Varix. "At least we tried." Some council members were less accepting of the silence. A faction led by a Velcrin general named Corthan argued for aggressive action. "We cannot simply wait for humanity to decide our fate," he said during an open council session. "We should take what we need. Human medical technology, human military systems, human shipyards. They are sitting unused while the galaxy burns. We have the right to requisition them for the greater good." "You want to invade human space?" Keswick asked. She sounded tired. "With what forces? We are barely holding back the scourge. You want to open a second front?" "Not an invasion," Corthan said. "A requisition mission. A small fleet. Fast in and out. We take what we need from their border stations and leave. They will not even have time to respond." "This is insanity," Varix said. "Attacking humanity will only ensure they never help us." "They are not helping us now," Corthan shot back. "What do we have to lose?" Keswick put it to a vote. She voted against. Varix voted against. 3 others voted against. But 7 voted in favor. The council authorized Corthan's mission. 200 ships. A quick strike into human territory? Take what they could carry and leave. Keswick watched the fleet depart and felt sick. This would end badly. She knew it. But democracy meant accepting votes she disagreed with. The fleet reached the human border. They encountered no resistance. No human ships challenged them. The border defenses that had stopped the diplomatic mission 2 years ago were gone. The way was clear. "See?" Corthan transmitted to the council. "They are not even defending their borders anymore. They have grown soft in their isolation." The fleet crossed into human space. They headed for the nearest human installation. It was a research station orbiting a gas giant. Scans showed it was occupied. Lights were on. Life support was functioning. But no one responded to hails. "Prepare boarding parties," Corthan ordered. "We will take their medical database and research samples. Minimal force. Avoid casualties if possible." The boarding parties launched. They approached the station. They were 50 meters away when everything changed. The space around the fleet suddenly lit up. Thousands of automated defense platforms materialized. They had been there all along, hidden behind sophisticated stealth fields. Waiting, they formed an impenetrable sphere around the council fleet. No weapons fired. No shots were exchanged. The platforms simply appeared and held position. The council fleet was trapped. Corthan tried to order his ships to fire. His weapon systems did not respond. Every ship in the fleet found their offensive systems locked down, frozen, hacked, human. Cyber warfare technology had infiltrated their networks in seconds. A transmission came through. It was a human voice, male, middle-aged, tired. "This is Admiral Marcus Kane of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have entered human territory with hostile intent. Your weapons are disabled. Your engines are disabled. You are not prisoners. You are simply contained. I am uploading a navigation file to your computers. It will guide you out of human space. Follow it. Do not deviate. Do not return. If any council vessel enters human territory again without explicit invitation, we will not be so gentle. You have 1 hour to begin your departure. After that, we will consider you hostile and respond accordingly." The transmission ended. The navigation file appeared. Corthan had no choice. His fleet followed the designated route out of human space. The entire time, human defense platforms shadowed them, silent, omnipresent, a reminder that humanity could have destroyed them at any moment but chose not to when the fleet returned to council space. Corthan resigned in disgrace. The attempted raid had accomplished nothing except to prove how completely outmatched the council was. Humanity had let them penetrate their borders, had let them get close enough to feel confident, then had shown them the truth. Human space was not undefended. It was defended by technology so advanced that Council ships could not even detect it until it was too late. They were never in danger, Keswick said quietly. When we sent diplomatic missions, when we sent military forces, they were never in danger from us. They simply did not want to talk to us. And now we have given them even more reason to keep their borders closed. The galaxy continued to fall apart. The scourge advanced. The refugees died. Species fought over dwindling resources. The great galactic civilization that had stood for millennia was collapsing. Silix, the young Velcrin analyst, was now working directly for Chairman Keswick. She had proven herself invaluable. She understood the situation better than anyone. She knew exactly how much the galaxy had lost when humanity left. "Is there any hope?" Keswick asked her one night. They stood in Keswick's office looking out at the crowded station. "Maybe," Silix said. "Humans are angry. They have a right to be. But they are not cruel. They did not destroy Corthan's fleet when they could have. They did not laugh at our message when we apologized. They are still watching. Still listening. I think they are waiting to see if we are truly sorry or just desperate." "What is the difference?" Keswick asked. "Sorry means you want to change. Desperate means you want things to go back to how they were. I think humans are waiting to see which one we are." 3 weeks after Corthan's failed raid, a message reached Council headquarters. It came from human space. It was short. Just coordinates and a time. Nothing else. "What does it mean?" Varix asked. Keswick looked at the message for a long time. Then she smiled. It was the first time anyone had seen her smile in months. "It means they are willing to talk," she said. "Finally, they are willing to talk." The coordinates led to a neutral point in deep space. Far from any star. Far from any world. Just empty void and distant starlight. Chairman Keswick took a small delegation. Herself, Varix, Silix, and 2 others. 5 beings in a small diplomatic shuttle. No guards, no weapons, no shows of force. They arrived at the specified time and waited. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Keswick began to wonder if this was a cruel joke. If humanity would leave them waiting forever as punishment, then a ship appeared. It was small. A human diplomatic vessel. Old design. The same type that had left Council space 2 years ago. It held position 1,000 meters away. No closer, a transmission came through. "This is Ambassador Sarah Chun. I will come to your vessel alone." "You will come to mine alone, Chairman Keswick. The others will wait." Keswick agreed immediately. She took a small shuttle pod across the empty space between ships. The human vessel's airlock opened. She entered. The inside was clean and functional. No decorations. No artwork. Just efficiency. Ambassador Chun waited in a small meeting room. She looked older than Keswick remembered. More gray in her hair. Deeper lines around her eyes. The past 2 years had aged her. Or perhaps she had always looked this tired and Keswick had simply never noticed. "Thank you for coming," Keswick said. Chun nodded but said nothing. She gestured to a chair. Keswick sat. Chun remained standing. "I watched your message," Chun said finally. "I have watched everything the Council has done for the past 2 years. Every speech. Every debate. Every decision. Humanity has been very attentive." "Then you know we are dying," Keswick said. "Not just the Council. The entire galaxy. The scourge is winning. Refugees are dying. Entire species face extinction. I'm not here to ask you to save us. I am here to ask you to save them. The innocent ones. The ones who had no say in how humanity was treated." Chun walked to a viewport and looked out at the stars. "Do you know why we left, Chairman? Because we disrespected you. Because we took you for granted." "No," Chun said. "Those were symptoms. The real reason was simpler. We left because we realized the Council did not value us. Not as partners. Not as equals. You valued our labor. Our sacrifice. Our contributions. But not us. Not who we were. And we finally understood that no amount of work would change that. So we stopped working for your approval. She turned to face Keswick. For 87 years, humanity tried to earn respect through service. We thought if we just helped enough, saved enough lives, gave enough, you would eventually see us as equals. But that is not how respect works. Respect is not earned through servitude. It is given freely or not at all. I understand that now, Keswick said. Many of us do. The young especially. We see what our arrogance cost us. Cost everyone. If humanity helps now, things will be different. I swear it. I believe you mean that, Chun said. But swearing is easy. Following through is hard. The Council has sworn many things over the centuries. Broken most of them. She sat down across from Keswick. So here are humanity's terms, non-negotiable. Accept them all or we walk away and never return. Keswick nodded. I am listening. First, humanity will not rejoin the Galactic Council. Not now, not in 10 years. Not in 100. That institution is broken. We will not tie ourselves to it again. Keswick felt her heart sink, but she nodded. Understood. Second, we will help fight the scourge. We will provide medical aid to the refugees. We will share technology and resources to stabilize the crisis. But we will do this as an independent ally, not as a council member. We make our own decisions. We set our own priorities. We answer to no one but ourselves. Agreed. Third, individual species may negotiate treaties with humanity separately. If the Velcrin want human medical assistance, they negotiate with Earth directly. If the Drayan want trade agreements, they come to us as equals. We will no longer work through the Council as an intermediary. You do not speak for the galaxy anymore. Not to us. That would fundamentally change galactic politics. It would reduce the Council's power significantly. But Keswick had no leverage to argue. Agreed. Fourth, every species that wishes human aid must acknowledge publicly what happened. No hiding it. No minimizing it. The truth goes into your history books. Children in schools will learn how humanity was treated and why humanity left. Future generations will know the cost of arrogance. Agreed, Keswick said. They should know. Everyone should know. Chun studied her for a long moment. You really mean that? You are not just desperate. You actually understand? I do, Keswick said. Though I wish I had understood 2 years ago. Or 10 years ago. Or 87 years ago. Chun permitted herself a small, sad smile. So do I, Chairman. So do I. She stood and walked to a console. She entered commands. I am transmitting the deployment schedule. Human fleets will begin arriving in contested zones within 48 hours. Medical ships will reach refugee centers within 72. We have been preparing for this. We knew the galaxy would eventually need help. We just had to wait until you were ready to accept it on our terms. You were waiting all along? Keswick asked. Watching us suffer and waiting? We were waiting for you to change, Chun corrected. Not just apologize? Not just admit mistakes? Actually change. Theros' resignation was a start. Your message was genuine. But if Corthan's raid had destroyed our station, if you had tried to take by force what we were unwilling to give freely, we would have sealed our borders forever. That would have been the end. She looked at Keswick directly. You passed the test, barely by the narrowest of margins. But you passed. Keswick felt something in her chest loosen. Relief, hope, emotions she had not felt in months. What happens now? Now we fight the scourge. Together but separate. Allies but not subordinates. When the crisis ends, the galaxy will have to rebuild. That will be hard, painful, but maybe necessary. Maybe the council needed to fall so something better could rise from the ashes. Chun extended her hand. The human gesture of agreement. Keswick reached out and took it. The ambassador's grip was firm, strong, the grip of someone who had been broken, and had chosen to remain strong anyway. The meeting ended. Keswick returned to her ship. Her delegation looked at her with anxious eyes. Well, Varix asked. Will they help? Yes, Tessig said. On their terms. But yes, the news spread across the galaxy within hours. Human fleets were coming. Human aid was coming. The reaction was complex. Relief mixed with shame. Gratitude mixed with embarrassment. The galaxy was being saved by the species it had insulted and dismissed. The first human battle fleet arrived at the Scourge front lines 2 days later. 40 ships. Not a massive force. But they moved with precision that the Council had forgotten was possible. They integrated seamlessly with Council forces while maintaining independent command. Within 6 hours of arrival, they had coordinated a counterattack that recovered 2 occupied systems. Human medical ships reached the refugee centers. Human doctors set up field hospitals. Human engineers built proper shelters. They worked efficiently, professionally. They did not gloat. They did not mention the past. They simply helped because help was needed. Silix found herself working alongside a human logistics coordinator named James. He was friendly, competent. When she thanked him for coming to help, he shrugged. People are dying. Of course we came. Even after everything the Council did to humanity? She asked. James looked at her thoughtfully. The Council did not do anything to us. People did. Thuros did. Vorik did. Others did. And other Peoplia Euro, people like you, people like Chairman Kessica Euro, tried to make it right. We don't hold entire species accountable for the actions of their leaders. That would make us as bad as the ones who judged all humans based on stereotypes. It was a perspective Silix had not considered. Humans were not angry at the galaxy. They were angry at specific people who had made specific decisions. They distinguished between the guilty and the innocent. It was a level of nuance that the Council had never shown them. The war against the Scourge turned. With human tactical coordination, the Council forces became effective again. They stopped losing ground. They started recovering it. The Scourge retreated. Slowly at first, then faster. Within 6 months, they had been pushed back to their original boundaries. Within a year, they had been contained. Not destroyed a Euro, that would take decades. But contained. Made manageable, through it all, humanity maintained its independence. They fought alongside Council forces, but never under Council command. They coordinated, but did not subordinate. It frustrated some Council members, but most understood. This was the price of their past mistakes. 3 years after humanity withdrew, the immediate crisis was over. The Scourge was contained. The refugees were housed. The economy was stabilizing. The galaxy was healing, slowly but healing. Thuros was old now, retired, disgraced. He lived quietly on his homeworld. He spent his days in a small garden growing flowers. When asked for interviews, he always declined. He had said everything he needed to say in his resignation speech, but on this day he made an exception. A human journalist had requested a meeting. Thuros agreed because the journalist was the daughter of one of the humans who had died saving the Velcrin world 3 years ago. She had a right to his story. They sat in his garden. The journalist, a young woman named Emma Park, asked him a simple question. Do you regret what you said? Thuros looked at his flowers. They were earth flowers, roses.